Hello again. This is episode 2 of the Joe Rogains podcast, proudly sponsored by copyright infringement. I am your host, as always, Joe Doyle. It will probably never ever be anything more than just me talking into a microphone at 3 a.m. I'm just going to delve straight into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, which is the fact that about 3 months ago now, I actually met a living legend, Michael Rosen. Now, you may recognise him from the memes, nice would be one of them. Basically, I was walking around campus one day. This was sort of early November, so I'm at university, and I go to the canteen and buy a can of apple tizer. Now, this becomes relevant later, I promise. So I go in there, I'm perusing the drinks, and I see, oh, they've got apple tizer. Well, that's a bit of a childhood favourite of mine, I must be honest. My parents would buy that for me in a big bottle every year for Christmas. So it's, I was just sort of thinking, well, I haven't had that in a while, so I bought a can of apple tizer. And I walk out of the canteen sort of towards the door, and I turn around and I turn right, and there, right in front of me, sitting at a table with about 6 other people, is Michael Rosen. And he's speaking to them, and I'm just starstruck. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I have to be polite, right? Like, he's speaking to people. But I notice a break in the conversation. I just say, oh, hello, Mr. Rosen. I don't want to intrude, but I just thought I'd come and let you know I'm a huge fan, and I really love your work. And he said, oh, thank you. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, I was standing outside, lost and confused, and this gentleman here, he motioned to the man sitting opposite, he said, this gentleman here brought me inside, and he said, well, I asked him, have they got any food here? And he said, yes, they have cracking pasta, I believe it was, he said. And he said, so now I'm sitting here eating my macaroni and guacamole. And I said, well, I haven't tried the food here, but I know, I see we both have a similar taste in drinks, because he has a can of apple tizer sitting next to him, next to his plate. And I say, well, we have a similar taste in drinks. And he says, yes. And he just made up a poem right there for me on the spot. And I will never forget this until the day I die. I do not know why it is such... This is a core memory for me. He says, yes. Because there's nothing wiser than a man drinking a can of apple tizer. And I look and I say, absolutely, Mr. Rosen. I'm absolutely starstruck. I'm giggling like a school child on the spot. Like, I've just met my absolute hero. And I say, well, I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for speaking to me. And he says, oh, it's my pleasure. And so I walk away, and I just instantly phone my mum. I'm like, Mum, you're never gonna guess what happened. I met Michael Rosen. And my mum was so happy for me, bless her. She was over the moon. But how it feels to meet a living legend, a meme legend, meme god. But not just that. He's also... one thing I must absolutely make the stipulation of is, I'm not just a fan of the memes and the jokes. I definitely was a lot more as a kid, but now as I've gotten older, I've really begun to appreciate his poetry a lot more. It's just very jovial and lighthearted, and I love his style. And he's an excellent children's author as well. And just to meet this guy, he is so lovely. Michael Rosen is so lovely in real life. It was an absolute privilege. And I will never, ever forget the day that I met Michael Rosen. And a lot of people are going to say, well, that was a missed opportunity. You could have said something like, nice. But no, that was special. That was unique. I will cherish that memory forever. Now, on the whole front of cherished memories, I was thinking to myself recently, I don't remember meeting my best friend. Now, that might sound a bit strange, but you got to hear me out. I have known this guy for so long that I actually don't remember meeting him. I met him probably when I was a few weeks old. And so it's bizarre almost. See, I never had a brother growing up. But I suppose in hindsight, I sort of did. Because he was always there. Always, always, always present in my life. But I just never sort of considered it that way. And you know, I just can't really quite get over the fact that there's this guy that has been so important to me in my entire life, and I don't even remember the day we met. Well, I'm not trying to persecute myself for not remembering. Of course I didn't remember. I was like a couple of weeks old. But I just find it really fascinating how certain people are almost something of a permanent fixture rather than someone that wasn't in your life at some point. And, you know, I have literally known this man for 21 years now. Whilst I can pretty much remember how I met everyone else. I mean, I have quite a few sort of poignant memories of how I met people that I'm close with now. And my friend Josh, for example, is someone who I met on the first day of university. I walked in late for a seminar, and you know, there was just this guy sitting there. I was like, "Oh, excuse me, could I kind of join you? Thanks, I'd really appreciate that." And well, I mean, I suppose it's because of him really that I met everyone else, because you know, I do not possess the amount of riz required to make so many friends in such a short span of time, although it seems like I have done it somehow, but I think I just borrowed riz from him, you see. This is one of those moments in my life that's just sort of very, you know, pivotal really, because had I not met him, my life would probably be entirely different. I just don't think I would have it that good, I'm going to be honest. Like, this is how it all started for me here. And I you know, I dread to think about how different it would be. I'd probably be a lot more lonely. So it's nice to have found an incredible group of people that I am just so fond of. I adore each and every one of them so much, and I can tell that they love me too. I know it sounds silly or cringeworthy or whatever, but it's true. I really do feel that way, and I'm happy to have gotten to a point in my life where I actually feel that about the people that I spend my day-to-day life with. It's quite remarkable. That's not to say that those people didn't exist for me before, but I've certainly come out of my shell a lot more, and found it a little bit more easy, I suppose, to make friends, and that's nice. That's really, I don't know. I suppose this is one of those mountains that you climb and you only realise what a difference in your life you've made once you look back. So to everyone that I've met over the last year and a half or however long it's been, thanks for being part of my story. I really appreciate that, because I know some of you are listening, and I'd just like to say thank you.